everyone. It is Mark Berman from TVMI in the very loud hallway of the Beverly Hilton Hotel. We're sitting by the bar. I'm sitting with Stephen Bishop from Being Mary Jane.
Yes.
And we are back. We were here sort of yesterday, right?
Yesterday, yeah.
And we didn't change clothing, so we're a little...
we're respecting the drought.
We're respecting the drought. And we're talking about the whole process of doing the series Being Mary Jane. And I want to ask you something. When the episode airs and you come into work the next day, or let's say whenever, are you really curious about what the ratings are? Do you follow the ratings? Or do you care?
I will be honest. I'm an analytical person. I'm a Virgo, and
So am I.
being a sports guy, I was always into statistics.
Right.
So I do look at the numbers.
You do look at the
I do
numbers.
look at the numbers because I want to see where we stand. I want to see
Right.
if we're being consistent,
Yeah.
and if our fan base is growing, or
Right.
and fortunately for us, it's been very consistent. But it's also, this is a competition. You know what I mean? And I want to see where we stand.
Right.
I enjoy, having Deadline.com say we won the night.
Right.
Because we work really hard, and I think Gabrielle is an extremely talented person, and I think that she deserves that kind of attention and deserves to be one of the forces on television at
Right.
this point. So yeah, I'll be honest, I do take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, no, well, that's what I do. I write about that as well. And when you're watching the show, you're tweeting. And is that how you normally watch television? As you're watching, you're also socially interactive? Or you prefer just kind of watching the show, or you do it because it's your show?
I do it because it's my show.
Right.
Anything that I'm involved in, I like to interact with the fans and do it in real time.
Yeah.
And it's just because as somebody who wasn't always in this position, as a child and as a young adult, I was a fan of sports people. Most of the sports people that I was a fan of were very gracious to me with their time and autographs and pictures and things like that. So I try to emulate what I grew up watching, and I was always impressed by the guy who took time out to talk to a young kid that he didn't have to talk to. Or, the guy who gave his time to do camps and things like that. So with something like this, it gives people who may never get a chance to meet me in person the opportunity to interact with me and learn my opinions and see, how I'm feeling about what they're viewing and what we're both doing at the same time. So but I normally don't socially interact if I'm watching the show. I don't. If it's something that I'm not involved in.
I do it basically myself if I'm doing it for work, but it's interesting. I meet a lot of celebrities in my line of work, and I always get very excited if I tweet something. I'll give you an example. I recently tweeted that China Beach, remember that show on NBC with Dana Delaney? China Beach had debuted on a certain day, and I do a daily Today in TV history item, and Dana Delaney retweeted it. So that was like, wow, Dana Delaney actually saw what I said. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you can really just communicate with.
Did you, when she retweeted you, did you then tweet and say that you were excited that she retweeted you?
I should have, but I retweeted her tweet. I can't say that more than once, but I did do that.
When I retweet people from, the fan base of Being Mary Jane, a lot of times they'll tweet back and say, oh my God, you made my day.
Yes.
And that actually makes my day.
Right.
To know that me retweeting or answering a tweet can really affect somebody that way. It's such a powerful thing that we have to be able to touch somebody that we've never met.
Right.
And I'm so gracious about everybody that's out there tweeting me. And if you follow me on Twitter, I answer everybody. So, sometimes I'm sitting there at the computer for a long time, but I love doing it because
I'm going to follow you and I'm going to tweet you and I'm going to wait for your answer. Okay?
You will get it. You'll get it.
And I actually had somebody tweet to me complaining that he or she didn't like my tweets. So I'm like, then don't follow me.
Yeah, that's the easy option there. You're following me. If you don't
it's
want
very
to listen, if
strange.
you don't like what I'm saying, you can stop.
Now let me talk to you briefly. You've done a lot of episodic television. You guest starred on Netflix. You guest starred on Lost. You did an episode of Lost. What was Lost like?
Lost is great.
You flew to Hawaii.
I flew to Hawaii for that. I was there for a few days. I got to work with Terry O'Quinn. He was fantastic. It was difficult to lift his 200-pound body up out of the bed over and over and over again. but he was fantastic to work with. And then after I wrapped that, I got to go to Kauai for 5 days, and we had the best trip of my life. Just getting, I'm a nature buff, a science guy, so I got to go and live off of the land for a few days and really fishing, and I got to have natural sugar cane and coconut milk and things like that. So the Lost experience was fantastic.
I watched Lost every episode religiously. I actually did a project for somebody analyzing each episode, and I still don't know how it ended. I don't have a clue, but I thought that was an amazing show. What are your favorite shows? What do you watch?
My favorite show is Game of Thrones. It's, in my opinion, it's easily the best show on television. The acting is fantastic. The wardrobe is fantastic. The sets are awesome. I watch that, and then I watch Ancient Aliens a lot on H2. I'm watching a lot of Animal Planet, Nat Geo Wild, World's Deadliest snakes, World's Deadliest cats, these types of things. And then I watch a lot of golf. I'm a huge golfer, so I watch. If I'm not watching one of those things, actually I should say if I'm not watching the Golf Channel, I'm watching one of those things.
Now I'm going to ask you a question that's going to be very difficult because nobody's ever answered it. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you one option. What is your all-time favorite TV series? All-time.
All-time favorite TV series.
Everybody always stumbles on this.
Animated?
Anything.
Family Guy.
Really? Family Guy, and you watch it so much?
Religiously.
Really?
I've seen every episode probably 50 times.
Wow, that's an interesting answer. That's an interesting answer. You know what mine is? A show that I'm sure you've seen way before your time, before my time. Believe it or not, I Love Lucy. I Love Lucy.
Oh yeah. You know, I watched that show. That show used to come on Saturday afternoons, I think, after sports. So it would come on right after sports, and so I'd watch it. But I've had a lot of really good shows in my life. Seinfeld was a big show for me.
Sure, everybody says that.
And the thing about Seinfeld is I didn't watch it when it was on network.
You watched it
I watched it in syndication.
Yeah.
But then as a child, Good Times,
Oh God.
Sanford and Son.
Okay.
These
Sure,
are
the
the
Norman
shows
Lear
I grew
stuff.
up with.
Okay, let's talk about Good Times for a second as long as you brought it up.
Okay.
Okay. Did you watch? Now you know that the show came from Maud, right?
Yeah.
She played a housekeeper on Maud, living in Tuckahoe, New York. How did she get to Chicago, living in the projects from Tuckahoe, New York? Okay.
Well, here's the thing. She probably met John Amos's character,
But
James.
he was
Evans.
Henry on Maud, and he came James on Good Times.
Okay, so were they married?
Yes.
Okay, was she Florida
Yes.
on Maud?
Yes.
Okay, so his name was Henry James Evans, and then he just decided to drop the Henry.
Right.
They said, we're not having a great time here in New York. We're gonna move to Chicago and see if we can. He had the job on the pipeline.
Right.
So he got work out in Chicago.
Okay.
They picked up the family. They moved. They had their kids.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something you said. I bet is going to surprise you. You want to be surprised about Good Times? Okay. When the show started, and this was I sort of know these useless historical facts. It debuted in 1974, I believe. And at the time, Esther Roll. Well, how old do you think Esther Roll was when the show started? How old do you think John Amos was?
Which show?
When Good Times. When they did Good Times, when it started. You want to care to guess their ages in real life? You're going to be surprised.
Mid-30s.
Okay. You're close on one. John Amos was 33. Esther Roll was 54. See? 21 years.
Wow.
And Jimmy Walker is JJ. 29.
Wow.
So his TV dad was 4 years old. Right.
But see, that's a testimony to John Amos's ability, because he was so convincing as James Evans Sr.
Yes.
And when he was a father to a lot of young black kids in the country at that time.
He was.
And that show was fantastic.
That really broke. I mean, that really showed what it was like. An African American family with 11 parents, 3 children, and they were together. And then unfortunately, he left the show and they killed them off.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed the whole scope of what the show was. But it really showed, the true values of what a family is.
Yeah.
I thought it was. And one more thing about the show, as long as we're talking about it, Will Owen, Florida's best friend. They went to school together. Janet Dubois. Would you care to guess how old she was when that started?
I don't know how old she was. I just know she was super fine.
She was super fine. She was.
Her and Thelma both were just like
Well, if my memory is correct, she was 29 and Esther was 54, so there's a 25-year age difference, but they went to school together, okay? It's TV, you know?
Yeah,
You know?
Hey, listen. I know people right now who are in their mid-30s in college.
Right.
So it could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
Hey, listen, we could be best friends. We have a little bit of an age difference, you know? It could happen.
Yeah,
You know?
You might be a fantastic golfer, and then we go out and play.
Right.
Next thing you know, we bond over golf.
Right.
And there you have it.
Well, we're going to have to bond over something else because my golf skills are pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, you just don't put in enough time.
I guess not. But listen, I thank you very much. I wish you continued success. When are you going back to work on being Mary Jane?
Well, we're waiting to hear whether we're getting renewed for season 4.
Right.
We've already finished shooting.
Oh, you finished season 3.
Yes,
Okay.
it starts airing this fall.
All right.
So I'm just waiting to hear, get the green light for that.
Right.
And,
Right. Well, I'll make a prediction because I crunch numbers. TVMediaInsights.com. You can get the ratings. I think they'll get a 4th season.
Okay.
I would be very surprised if you didn't get a 4th season.
Well, if I'm going to be honest, I would be as well. Mara Rockakeel and Celine McKeel and everybody over at BET doing a fantastic job with the show. Gabrielle is doing a fantastic job. So it would surprise me if they didn't.
And Mara, in my mind, and I had the honor of meeting her once. She did one of the most underrated shows, sitcom for history of television, which was Girlfriends.
And I actually had a recurring role.
You did. You did. I was just going to say that. That show lasted, I think, it was 8 years.
And they're trying to get a movie up. I don't know if they're actively trying. I mean,
Amazing show.
Fans are trying to get the
Amazing show. I used to write about it all the time. I was a fan of that show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully you'll join me next year to talk about season 4.
Absolutely.
And then I'll tell you next year you'll get a season 5.
Okay.
And we'll have more
just
trivia.
Keep it going.
We'll talk more about Good Times. There's other strange things about that show.
Yeah, speaking of trivia, you know how wide the universe is across?
No.
156 billion light years. And you know how many miles a light year is?
No.
Roughly 6.3 trillion miles.
Really?
So I did the math on it, and in order to travel 1 light year, you would have to go back and forth from LA to New York every day for something like 2,149,000 years.
Listen, you're in the wrong profession, bud. You should be a scientist. Because my numbers is TV ratings. Outside of TV, I don't know anything. But that's interesting.
If I had only been as interested in science and history as I am now when I was in school.
Well, here's the deal. If you ever decide I don't want to be an actor anymore, become a scientist.
Or a science professor.
Science professor.
I teach people.
Right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next time.
All right.
A pleasure. A real pleasure.
Pleasure was mine.
And I will see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.